Welcome back to the Saturday Show here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hour 2 of the program underway right now. And by the way, Michelle, did you know that we're going to be on location next week? We're not going very far, though.
No, this is news to me.
We're going out to the lawn right to be here in the Triad Center.
Are we doing the cookout thingy again?
Cookout, yes.
And you're actually going to be here this time?
I will be here this time.
Okay.
You had Lloyd hanging out with you last time, so that'll be next Saturday. Scott Girard is going to be competing in the cookout,
Okay.
so we'll probably have him on the show to talk about what he's cooking up. But that's just a little bit of a tease ahead to next week. But no time like the present. We're pleased to welcome in now B.J. Daniels, former USF quarterback, played in the NFL for a while, won a Super Bowl trophy with the Seattle Seahawks, played for the Salt Lake Stallions here in Salt Lake City as part of the Alliance of American Football, where ostensibly you, Michelle, got to know him as well as you know him. And then obviously he's now back working at USF. But BJ, that kind of pales in comparison to everything you're doing because you now have a published author on your resume.
Yeah, and I am so excited and shocked at the same time.
Well, hey, thank you for taking the time. You are, according to my short memory, the most the most frequent guest we've had when Michelle and I have been doing the show together. Your third appearance, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I love working for you guys, actually, man. I enjoy being a part of the program.
Okay, so I want to start here. There are a lot of reasons why people decide to write books. They have different motivations and reasons why they do it. So what was your motivation for writing the book you did?
Yeah, I mean, you know, a couple of years ago, you know, I had the idea of like, man, I really want to write a book. I just don't know where to start. And what my premises and goal really was just to encourage people, to help people, to not tell people what to do or how to do it, but just to share my story and experience, because I think everyone thinks that, you know, when I talk about Super Bowls or meeting President Obama or, you know, hanging out with Marshawn Lynch and all these cool things, they don't understand that it cost me something. And it cost me a lot. It cost me, you know, turmoil within my family, a broken ankle, getting cut and released from teams and being discouraged and having, you know, these mental health issues and thoughts of depression, anxiety, and what do I do next? Where do I go? And, you know, where does my next paycheck come from? Those different things and relationships failing. I just wanted to help people. So I'm actually exposing my story and my issues and my struggles to let people know, like, you know, regardless of who you think I am or what success looks like, it's going to cost you something. And I hope that you can be encouraged when things don't go right, because there's a lot of things in my life that didn't go right, but it's helped me be in the position that I'm in today.
Obviously, when we were working together, we talked about just about everything that was in your book. And as you mentioned, you've lived a very interesting life growing up in the dorms at FSU, playing quarterback at USF, exacting some revenge in your first collegiate start against FSU, who overlooked you during your recruitment. And I think the one thing that you and I really connected on is you're used to people telling you no because you don't fit a certain mold. And I've had the same thing happen. I do not fit a certain mold of what people expect a sports reporter to be. How has that motivated you? And when you look back on all the things that you've kind of accomplished, despite the fact that people have told you no, what does that feel like to you? And what does it mean to you to be able to share that with people?
I mean, right now it's amazing. It came with a little bit of maturity. You know, I've always athletically, you know, felt like I had a strong arm, so I could throw the ball further than most quarterbacks. I could run. I could do all these different things. But there were times where when people told me no, it pushed me to my next dimension or next level. So, for example, I had a coach who literally tried to make me feel like I was an idiot. You know, he asked me every football question in the book. Some things I would know, some things I didn't know, but he didn't understand why he was telling me no or trying to put me in a box or belittle me. That pushed me into my next category of, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm going to go home, I'm going to study my playbook, and I want to make sure when I come to practice tomorrow, I know every question, I know everything about what you're going to try to ask me. So therefore, not only can I prove that I'm liable and capable of being a good athlete, I'm also very knowledgeable of the game. So the no's have always been motivation for me. And I don't think people understand that, you know, a no can be a blessing. A no can be encouragement. And that's kind of, you know, where I stand on it.
Well, and I think you make a good point there. There's no can be encouragement, and it can be a way to open another door for certain people. But it also, at the same time, no can have a negative impact on you. Talking about the fact you've dealt with anxiety and depression, that type of stuff. So when it comes to overcoming that, what did you find that got you to pull through? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. When I couldn't pull myself out of the hole, based off my faith and religion is one. Two, I've had a good support system around me, a good, mother and father. I have some sisters that, really care and love me, and so I've had some coaches that have cared about me. I've always been in an environment where I was able to pull from places, and I don't want people by any means to think you need to come from a two-parent home and it needs to be this black and white for you to be successful. You can pull from anywhere. Whether that's your favorite athlete, your favorite actor, maybe even a story that someone has heard, which is hopefully can be me one day. You hear my story and say, hey, you know what? I didn't have these circumstances lined up, but I still have the opportunity to make it. Those can definitely have a negative effect on you. And, your support system, your foundation, or even just the people around you. Because I guarantee you, there's someone in this society or in this world with as many no's and negativity that loves you. There's someone in the society that cares about you and wants to see you be successful. And those are the people to lean on versus trying to just impress, others. So,
I think one of the interesting things that you kind of brought up in your book, you're a 7th round draft pick. And I think there's an assumption, whether you're the first pick in the NFL draft or the last pick, that you've made it.
Sure.
And I think you did a really good job of showcasing that that's not the case, and especially for a 7th round guy. But you still have people kind of switching up on you and acting like you got it going on, and it can be really disconcerting, I guess. What got you through that period of time, and how did you go about perhaps weeding out people in your life?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it was that process was forced upon me. I literally got drafted, go to the NFL, win the Super Bowl, with Seattle, and the first time I got cut, it was interesting how funny people started to act around me. So that was forced upon me by getting released from a team, and now understanding, okay, who really are your friends? Who really are the people who are there for you and want to see you succeed? And at the end of the day, with age and wisdom, it kind of just happens. When you start to focus on you and the things that matter to you and your family and the things that can, put you in a better, platform, you kind of lose interest into those things that were so attractive to you before. Whether that's the going out or the partying or, the opposite sex or whatever it may be. When you're really dialed into who you are, who you're called to be, it's interesting how some people just weed themselves out without even your encouragement.
Now, the book, once again, Beyond the Red Zone, when it comes to what you hope that it can do you have a certain, part of the population you want to gear this towards? Youth, or is it just everybody? Did you write it with a certain group of people in mind? No,
I literally want everybody to be able to kind of relate to this. I talk about, cancer. My grandmother had cancer. And at the same time, she was diagnosed with cancer. So was my little sister, who was 22 years old. The difference in the two is my grandmother passed away that same year. My little sister was 100% cured. So you're dealing with illness, life, and death. I think everyone in the world deals with that. I think we also talk about anxiety or depression and finding out, I'm not feeling good about the relationship I'm in. I was in a relationship with a young lady and it didn't work out. So relationships fail. We talk about being successful or whatever you think success looks like, and then it's taken away from you. Those are all things that have nothing to do with football, and I really want people to really kind of relate and clamp onto that because I'm being able to be vulnerable to tell that story. And, unfortunately, as a professional athlete, most of us are viewed as superheroes. And at the end of the day, I think people have to understand, we're always judged based off of our athletic ability as people. And that's not fair. We have to go home and deal with life just like everyone else. So I just really hope that any and everybody can relate to, my story and some of the things that I'm sharing.
Another thing you brought up, which I didn't necessarily know, this book was interesting to me because I knew a lot of the stuff, but I didn't necessarily know the timeline of how everything kind of played out. You hadn't played football for 2 years before you came to Salt Lake. What was that like for you getting that opportunity? And then talk about your experience here, because unfortunately it did not go the way that you wanted it to.
Yeah, but I still love Salt Lake.
We like that. We like you still like it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
please still like us.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I went 2 years without football, and you talk about, what kind of belief did I have in myself? What kind of to be able to still work out at 5 a.m. and still do two-a-days and still think in my mind like I still can do this. And I'll be honest with you, my competitive nature would not allow me to quit or even sleep. Because I'm looking at guys that I played with, Geno Smith, for example. We're the same age. Russell Wilson's a year older than me. I'm looking at guys that are still playing in the league, and I'm like, I can still do what they're doing. They just have a different opportunity. And so that kind of motivated and pushed me. And I'll be honest, where Salt Lake City fits in my heart is near and dear and will never change, because that city embraced me and also gave me another opportunity to play football after those 2 years. So that is a place that I'll forever be grateful, regardless of if I had the opportunity to play or I went there and got hurt. I learned a lot. I met a lot of beautiful people. I got the chance to be around some pretty cool guys on the football team as well. And it's very valuable to me, to be honest.
Now, when it comes to writing a book, I've never written a book myself. It seems like a daunting prospect to me. And you mentioned the fact that a couple of years ago it came to you wanted to do it. Take us through the whole process. How long did it take? Once you sat down and started doing it, did it just really come all together? Did it take some time to kind of formulate it all?
Yeah, and hopefully this will be some encouragement to you as well. I wanted to write a book 4 or 5 years ago, and I did not want to do it. I did not want to sit down. I did not want to write it on a piece of paper. I had no idea where to start. I didn't know if it should be chronological order, if I'm going to skip anything, do I have the time to do this? And I'll be very blunt and transparent. I'm in downtown Tampa. I'm at a bar at a hotel that's called The Edition, and this guy walks up to me and says, "Who are you?" And I said, "What do you mean by that?" "What do you mean, who am I? Who are you?" And he was asking that question because there were people that recognized me from what I, accomplished in college, because I'm in Tampa. And long story short, this guy ends up being the owner of a company called Trigger Hub, and it's a publishing company about mental health. And from that point on, me and him have just locked in, exchanged phone numbers, and I had a ghostwriter. So I've had someone interview me 3 to 4 times a week for 6 months, and he just asked me questions. He just interviewed me, and I just was talking, and he felt like a therapist. I was just giving him everything that I had, and at the end of it, he gave it all to me and how he thought it should be formulated. I read the book 3 or 4 times. I went through it with my mom and dad and family to make sure they didn't beat me up or try to sue me. but it all went through that vetting process, and now we have a book in less than a year. And it's amazing, because even with something like that, just go do it, or invest in yourself, or get a ghostwriter if you don't have the time. We talk on the phone a lot. You guys talk on this show a lot. Just imagine if you spend 3 or 4 times a day just talking about you or what message you want to convey, and there it is. You have it.
One thing from when we worked together, it's lived rent free in my head for about 5 years now. I don't know if you remember telling me, because I bugged you a lot after you got hurt, whether or not you were okay, what's going on. I can tell something's wrong. And when you finally talked to me about it, you brought up that I was the first front office person to ever take a vested interest in you, or a teammate in a way that they know that you care, and it's not about finding anything out to like get you cut from the team or anything like that. It's that
Right.
there's something genuinely wrong, and I want to know so I can maybe help you.
Right.
Now that you kind of look back and you've laid out your life in this book, what do you want to see athletic departments, the NFL, start doing in order to change that so that that isn't such a unique situation, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we're in such a strange place right now, especially, and I'll just speak on the level that I'm on now, which is college.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I work at USF, and I'm in charge of raising money for a football stadium and NIL, so name, image, and likeness. And I think the game is all messed up. I think it's all messed up. You and these college kids now are going to carry this even worse than I did to the NFL. Because I didn't get paid, throughout college. But the idea is this, as a college athlete, name, image, and likeness is what you're supposed to get paid on. Your own name, your own image, and your likeness. Right now, we're paying kids salaries.
Yeah.
Salaries. That's it. Who's the highest bidder, and I'm going to transfer and go where I need to go. And it's not about the relationship. It's not about the academic side. It's not about building a culture. It's not about any of those things anymore. So now you take that kid to the NFL, and this is what my experience was. Their front office people are people that we called upstairs employees.
Mm-hmm.
We never trusted. And it was for reasons that, have been daunting, and I think what has to change is, and Dan Quinn had a great quote about a week ago, and I can't remember it. I'm going to botch it up, but he basically talked about, basically a good football player will never really be a good football player until he believes the coach cares about him, until he actually has a vested interest in each other, to really lay it on the line and to be vulnerable enough to learn or to understand or to trust. I think once that culture is built or conveyed, that's when things blossom and relationships grow. Without you being in my ear, I don't think we would be on the phone today.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. And I think that's something that is going to have to change within our sporting worlds. And that's going to start in college, but it's going to be even harder now the way things are going.
Talking with B.J. Daniels, former USF quarterback. You mentioned the fact that you're now still working at USF as a fundraiser, B.J. Give us a sense. You mentioned that things are messed up in your mind in college sports. I think anybody who's looking at it can see that. It's very evident. What all is NIL, transfer portal? Give us your sense, because you're a former college quarterback. Give us your sense of what the sport looks like from your perception now that you work essentially on the other side, where you still work in the athletic department, but you're not the athlete now.
Yeah. I still have a sensitive, a sore heel to the fact that, as a former college player, if you have a kid that you awarded a scholarship to, he's required to fulfill certain duties. And I think that starts with the classroom. That's what this is all built around, an academic institution. Football, and this might sound crazy for me, comes second. But at the same time, you have these kids transferring and going to different schools, and they're losing credits. Mm-hmm. They're not just going for $1. They're losing credits. So you go to 3 or 4 schools a year, a technical school like Georgia Tech, or you go to USF, or then you go to, a private school, or whatever you have it. That's going to mess you up. And if you don't invest or do the right things with your money financially, or have a mind of what business I want to run, or what corporation, or how my entrepreneurship is going to go, or investments, then you're going to be in trouble. I literally have talked to NFL coaches, who have told me they've interviewed players at Alabama, specifically, and that's just one, where, okay, we get this money. They've gotten this money over the years, but they're trying to figure out when their next NFL paycheck is going to hit their account. Why? Because they have to pay taxes. They didn't think about that. They weren't educated upon that. So there's these things out here that are just all over the place, which is sickening to me. And I think that, at the same time, can you blame a 17, 18-year-old kid who maybe comes from a single-parent home, parents are struggling a little bit? Without that scholarship, they would not have even been able to go to college. And then you want to hang $100,000 in his face. What do you think he's going to do? So it's a crazy situation, and I think there needs to be some sort of rules or mandate or a salary cap. I mean, just something that can kind of bring real things in just a little bit, because these kids are no longer focusing on graduation. So when that money runs out, and I've seen that happen with my own teammates in the NFL, what do you do? What do you do after you earn $1 million in college and now you're out of college and you got hurt or you didn't make it to the NFL past 2 years and you have no degree? What's next?
Great point. Great point. That nobody's talking about, nobody's trying to figure out or come up with a good solution for. BJ, I want to get your thought on, you wrote this book, you laid everything out. As you look back on all that, what are you most proud of?
Probably the book. To be honest, I've had the opportunities to meet some pretty cool people and do some pretty cool things and go to different cities. And, I really think that I never thought that all of the places, that I've been, washing uniforms in a high school as a high school head coach, and I'm at 12 midnight on a Friday night, and there's roaches crawling across the floor. This is after I've met President Obama at the White House, after 3 Super Bowl appearances. This is after Salt Lake City, or after I've broken an ankle in college, or, my little sister was cured of cancer, or my grandmother died of cancer, or just after all these things. The book is what I'm most proud of because I'm pulling it all together. I never thought that all of the tools, struggles, trials, and triumphs would be gathered together in one tool to help somebody else. And that's what I'm proud of, because I really thought growing up as a kid, you're in the backyard and, you're shooting a basketball, 3, 2, 1, you hit the buzzer beater and you win. That's what we all want to do. We want to be Hall of Famers. We want to be champions. We want to be all these things that we see on TV and superstars, and that didn't happen for everybody. It didn't happen for me either. I was able to live it a little longer than most, but still didn't happen for me. So I'm just thankful that all these tools I'm able to gather in places I've been and people I've met to try to help others, and that's what I'm most proud of.
All right, BJ, so where can people get this book if they want to get their hands on it?
Right now it's on Amazon. You can pre-order it. It's a hardback copy. It'll be out October 1st, first day delivery. Right now it's available as an ebook where you can read it online, the full entire book, on Trigger Hub. I also have a website called bjsuper7.com where you'll be able to get the ebook. The ebook is only $5, so you get a chance to pre-read it and get through it. And if you want the hardback copy when that comes out, you can have that too. So that's October. But Amazon right now is the place to get it.
Well, BJ, best of luck as this thing takes off, and I'm sure you'll be back on the show soon enough. We can't wait to have you back on.
Next time I'm going to be in person. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
I'm going to come in town.
We'd love to have you in studio, no doubt. So, yeah, please do, and we'll catch up with you again soon, all right?
Okay, absolutely. I appreciate it.
There you go, BJ Daniels, and big thank you to him. And, yeah, he's got a lot going on.
He is a busy man these days. I forget how many speaking engagements he has booked at the moment. And he's trying out all kinds of different things and just really using his platform. And I can't say or express or talk about enough, like, the growth I've seen in him since he was here in Salt Lake to now is absolutely tremendous. He has really come into his own.
Well, and it's a credit to him that he had the idea for a book, but I think like most of us, I can't say that I've got an idea for a book. I don't, but you have that idea, then you're just like, hold on. I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
And he's obviously found a publisher and he has the ghostwriter who's helping him out. But it's really cool that he got it done.
I mean, that's what high achievers do. Yeah. And he certainly qualifies as that. Again, we're talking about a guy that, especially when he was coming out, did not fit molds. Black quarterback, kind of on the short side for a quarterback. Yeah. It just all these things that don't necessarily play out, and yet he made it at the highest level you can possibly go.
Yeah, it's true. No doubt about that. All right. Well, check it out. October 1st is when you can get the hardbound copy, but as you mentioned, you can go read it online if you want to do that right now. And it's really cool, honestly, really cool stuff. And it takes a lot of gumption to say, you know what, let's just get it done.
And he was very raw. He was very real. He admitted some things in that book that a lot of people wouldn't. So it's definitely worth the time. And again, it's if you're interested in what it's like to be an athlete and kind of the process and what these guys go through and what the reality for a lot of them actually is, it's very insightful. It's very, very insightful.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we will come back on the other side. We'll get into 5 minutes of, talk about some of the other topics we have not had a chance to touch on quite yet today. Get to that next, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday show here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Michelle Bodkin, Jake Hatch along for the ride, and big thank you to BJ Daniels once again for taking the time to join the show. It's really impressive what he's doing, and Michelle, it's kind of funny. You were mentioning in the break that you've got a bunch of guys that you know that are dropping books. So
yeah.
Is there someone water up on the hill with these football players that are like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be an author.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe if you touch turf at Rice Eccles, it's just like you have to go write a book. I don't know. Of course, we're talking about former Utah wide receiver David Kozlowski. We had that episode last week. If you missed it, check it out. He wrote a really important book on the state of mental health in our youth that's come out. And then, of course, Kenneth Scott's dropped a couple of different books on various kind of different topics, but again, kind of on the mental health spectrum and just giving some inspiration to people. And now BJ's the latest to join the group. Obviously not a Utah wide receiver, but he did spend some time up at Rice Eccles. So I don't know. It might be a Rice Eccles thing.
Something about RES. Got it. All right, Michelle, let's talk about some of the topics we have not touched on quite yet today. In the world of football, it seems like it never stops. It's just kind of a year-round thing anymore with both the NFL as well as college football. Let's start off with the college football front. What did you make of Sam Heward announcing he's going to be joining the Utah football program?
I think that's a pretty good pickup for Utah, and I think it's a good position for Heward as well. I think in this situation, I don't know that both parties could have asked for much more, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. You have a guy in Cam Rising that he is your starter. And so whoever comes in kind of has to know that and understand that, but also understand that there's a phenomenal opportunity to learn behind him for a year, get used to the system, maybe play here and there, whether it's, garbage duty or God forbid, Rising gets hurt. Maybe you get an opportunity that way.
Don't you suggest such things,
I know,
Michelle?
I'm not. There's wood right
knock
here.
on
But
wood.
yeah, we'll knock on wood. Do not want that for Cam at all. But regardless, there's opportunity there, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Opportunity to learn from Andy Ludwig, and then when the time is right, you have that opportunity to play. And on the other hand, you also have a kid like Isaac Wilson, so much promise out the you-know-what, based off of what we got to see from him in spring. But it takes the pressure off of him. He still, at the end of the day, is a freshman. And if you don't have to put him in compromising positions right out of the gate, why would you?
Sure.
Unless he just absolutely proves without a doubt he's that dude. And he could be. But at least you have an insurance policy there where you don't have to have him be that dude. He can just be that dude because he is that dude. So I think all of that bodes really well. And then, of course, you have a program maybe not as well known for developing quarterbacks, but I think they've gone better at it over the last few years. And I think that's something that Heward's been missing, right? He's sat behind, and he's just been in very unstable situations through his college career. And Utah's a very stable situation. So I think for him personally, I think that's where you kind of win on that end.
Well, he got to Washington right as Michael Penix Jr. showed up. And you know what? You're a 5-star freshman. Everybody expects you to start, but then this guy who ends up as a first-round top 10 pick is like, it's kind of hard to compete against that. And he did have the added pressure, speaking of Heward, of being a Heward at Washington.
Yeah.
His dad and his uncle are two of the all-timers for the Huskies. So it's
the mess with Jimmy. I mean,
Sure,
he
yeah.
was there for all of that. And I think we discount because it's so stable, not just at Utah, but, you know, there's a lot of stability at BYU as well. Like,
Correct,
we just
yeah.
don't see coaches going in and out and all the drama, typically speaking. So I think we discount sometimes how disruptive that can be to someone's career.
Well, we've got two head coaches, speaking of BYU and Utah. Both of them have outlasted the typical head coaching tenure in college football. Kyle Whittingham, what is it? It's year 30 overall on the staff. What's head coach? Is it? It's
19, almost 20.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And Kalani's going into year 8, maybe 9. And that's surpassing what most of their compatriots in the college coaching ranks do.
And they both blow my mind for different reasons. Kyle, I just sit there and go, how did you manage to stay at the same place for 30 years in such a volatile industry?
Sure, yeah.
And Kalani's blows my mind from the standpoint of, wow, it's really been that long?
Sure.
It still feels like he's a new coach there, and he's not. Kalani, you a vet. You a vet now.
Yeah, so you're right. The stability factor for both these programs, it's enviable.
It's very different than a lot of places.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Also, I love that we have a new term, by the way, in college sports, Michelle. Have you heard calimony yet? You heard about this?
No.
So the California State Regents have essentially forced UCLA going into the Big Ten. They're forcing them to pay the maximum dollar figure they have to pay the Cal Bears. It's going to be $10 million, and now it's literally being called calimony.
Okay, I did see that news come down.
Yeah.
I did not see the cutesy little nickname for it.
Great name.
It's a great nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ouch. I find myself wondering if UCLA is going to feel like it was worth it, because you're now what they've calculated the travel costs take a huge chunk out of what you thought you were going to get, and now another huge chunk of what you're going to get is taken away. So are you really left better off than where you were? It's going to be an interesting question to see played out.
Yeah, see, back in December of 2022, to get the deal done to jump to the Big Ten, UCLA agreed that they were going to be paying Cal a certain amount. It was anywhere between $2 and $10 million. UC President Michael Drake recommended it's the full $10 million. So congratulations, UCLA, as you mentioned. Added expenses, and this one's a significant portion of what expected to be $70-some-odd million. So it's just, yeah, it makes me chuckle because we get a great nickname out of it, and calimony will be carrying on for at least the next 6 years.
It's just the hits keep on coming from this conference realignment stuff.
Oh, don't worry. It just feels like we're waiting just for the other shoe to drop on it again.
Yes, I'm so there with you.
It's just so funny, like, because we tracked it. Remember last summer? It was just nuts. It just kept going and going and going and going and
Hated
going.
it.
It was the gift that kept giving, but you kind of wanted it to stop.
Stop giving. Stop giving. I don't want what you're giving.
Yeah. So you're just like, okay. So we'll see. I do wonder, as you mentioned, if UCLA ends up regretting the moves. I'm telling you right now, if I'm Cal and Stanford, I'm regretting the fact that I got to travel to the East Coast as often as I do as members of the ACC. The Atlantic Coast Conference
I know.
has two that literally sit in the Bay Area on the Pacific Coast.
Make it make sense. Because it don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things you look at and you say, oh, okay, did we jump the shark here? Yes.
Totally.
Yes, we did.
Oh, totally. And a couple more sharks left to jump, it feels like. So
very well could be.
buckle up for that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Other local news: Real Salt Lake. They opened play in the 2024 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, Michelle, and just like that, are right back out of it. Lose 4-2 to New Mexico United on Wednesday night. This is a squad that made a run to the semifinals of that tournament last year, but they decided not to put pressure on some of the higher-powered scorers for New Mexico. And let's just put it this way. The 3 first-half goals that New Mexico scored in that, Michelle, all of them were like, wow. Like, it made you say, okay, so these guys came to play. And so RSL, they are out of that tournament, but right back to MLS play as they are in L.A. tonight to take on the Los Angeles Galaxy.
Ooh, rivalry!
Yeah. So, obviously, the lone championship, because the thing about the U.S. Open Cup, you get to hoist the trophy if you win it. That's one thing RSL has been publicly stating is they want to hoist, as they call it, silverware. Well, guess what? Your chance to win it in the U.S. Open Cup is done, but they are going into today's matches number 1 in the Western Conference right now. Now, the Los Angeles Galaxy sit in 3rd spot right now. They are just 2 points behind RSL, so should they win tonight, they would leapfrog RSL into the top spot, but this is a team that they rotated that squad trying to get away with a less than full strength. And it's what every team does in this U.S. Open Cup in the early rounds, and it burned them. So,
well, I mean, I guess you can't have a reward without taking a risk, but sometimes that risk may not pay off how you want it.
Yeah, well, and they're got a late night tonight, 8:30 start time.
Hope the weather ends up being okay. I think it should be.
It's in L.A., so they're on the road.
Okay,
so they
okay.
should be okay. They're down at that Dignity Sports Health Park. Used to be the Home Depot Center.
I've spent some time down there.
Yeah, so
San Diego State game, and that's where they practice for the Rose Bowl too.
Yeah, when they were calling when the Aztecs were calling it home while they were building their new Snapdragon Stadium there in San Diego. Funny enough, my wife's cousin was attending San Diego State. She was a freshman and sophomore when that whole thing was going on, and she actually took the bus up from San Diego to go to games there.
Oh my gosh!
Like, that's a long bus ride.
That is a long bus ride, but you know what? I really, really admire the dedication there.
Yeah, it was just kind of funny. I remember asking him, like, hey, I know you guys don't have your on-campus. Oh, yeah, we just take the bus up. And I'm like, wow, okay, props to you.
Good for you. Yeah.
One of those funny things you look at and you're like, okay, I got it. So, all right, one other thing here, Michelle. How much have you been paying attention to the NBA and or NHL playoffs?
To be very honest, not very much, because I got my own playoffs and tournaments to pay attention to.
Yeah, well, by the way, you are tracking Utah lacrosse in the NCAA tournament. Utah baseball is close to wrapping up their regular season.
Yep.
And did they fall out of the rankings this week?
They did.
Okay, so they've been doing very well.
Yeah.
They're facing Arizona in a big weekend series, by the way.
Yep.
And then also Utah softball doing their thing as well. So yeah, you've had plenty of postseason stuff to track. A couple of notes just real quick on the NBA side of things is I don't for the life of me understand how certain coaches continue to kind of surface. And what I mean by that is Mike Budenholzer wins a title with the Milwaukee Bucks, then has a pretty average follow-up season, and they whack him.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye, thanks, but no thanks, get out of here. Well, Frank Vogel gets one season in Phoenix as the head coach of the Suns, falls short, they get swept in the first round of the playoffs, and he's gone. One season and now. And by the way, don't feel bad for these guys because Vogel, I think, has like $20 million guaranteed on a deal he's going to be getting paid out for. So congratulations to him on that side of it. But then Mike Budenholzer right back in, like literally, I'm telling you, Michelle, tweet came out about Frank Vogel's firing, and if it was more than 15 minutes later, the first reports are that Mike Budenholzer is the favorite to win the job with the Phoenix Suns. It was like, okay, here we go. Now, Budenholzer is a native of Holbrook, Arizona, so it's going home for him if he were to latch on with the Suns here. But the deal is supposed to be north of 8 figures annually. It's $10+ million.
Oh my gosh.
It pays to be a retread in the NBA, apparently.
I mean, I've thought about this a lot in sports. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Okay, and
with how we recycle coaches that maybe did well for a minute, fell off, fire them. Oh, hey, they did well at one point in time. We're going to hire him again.
It's
crazy.
It's baffling to me. Like, you have Doc Rivers, who, by the way, took over Milwaukee, and they fell short big time. They signed him mid-season to be their head coach and, like, have guaranteed him an insane amount of money. And, like 2 weeks into his tenure, they already were rumors that it was just a bad hire to begin with. So it's just like...
Well, what are we doing?
Way to go, guys.
You know what? Maybe don't recycle the same old coaches unless they have an absolutely proven phenomenal track record. There has been an argument. I've seen it more on the NFL side. Why don't you start hiring some of these like up and coming guys instead of recycling the same old jerks that don't do well?
Yeah, Will Hardy for the Utah Jazz.
Exactly.
Charles Lee is getting hired by the Charlotte Hornets, and now he's with the Celtics, so he won't be taking over in Charlotte until their run ends with the Celtics in the playoffs. But he's an up and coming guy. He was not that long ago in the college ranks and has become the top. Like, take an opportunity with those guys and see what you get with that versus, hey, Doc, I know you're doing TV. You want to stop it.
Yeah, there's more coaches out there than the same old has-beens.
Yep. But
just saying.
Matt Ishbia, the new owner of the Suns, he is spending money like it ain't no thing. And now he's generating massive numbers of it because he runs a mortgage company that like is one of the biggest in the country, but still, it's just like, dude, you're firing coaches left and right. You've mortgaged the future on your team to bring in Bradley Beal, and KD could leave this summer. So it's like, hey, congratulations, Phoenix.
I'm going to say, if you want to pay me an absurd amount of money to be bad at something only to turn around and fire me, I will volunteer.
All of us would love to do that, Michelle. Trust me. You if you want to bring me in for 1 year and then pay me $20 million to go away, yeah, I'm
sign me up.
I'm your Huckleberry. Let's go. Let's have some fun. So, well, I look at it. It's just such a funny deal, but nonetheless, it is what it is. All right, we will come back on the other side. We'll wrap things up on this edition of the Saturday Show. That's next, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show, wrapping things up here. And Michelle, we started today's show talking about the NHL in Utah, the excitement factor. I still am trying to figure out heads from tails, it feels like, when it comes to this hockey thing. But the excitement is palpable. That's the fun part about this. You can tell that the state of Utah, they're all in on this.
Yeah. I mean, we're excited. And I think a big part of it, too, is we see opportunity, right?
Yeah.
It's if we crush this, then maybe it leads to an MLB team.
Oh yeah, you can. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I can guarantee Major League Baseball, they're watching this experiment very closely.
Totally. And then I mean, this is a further down the road thing, but if you crush the MLB thing, does the NFL come knocking at some point in time? There's just opportunity abound. Obviously, the Olympics are most likely coming as well.
Yep.
College football here is booming.
Yep.
Well, with two schools in major power conference. Well, they're in the same major power conference, but either way, we had two schools in power conferences. Just a lot to be excited about in the sports world. And like I said, this hockey team feels like a really great opportunity that could lead to other things that just help us grow and advance in the world of sports. And we are sports people here. So,
well, yeah, the whole nickname is the state of sport. I know it can sound hokey that that's the nickname, but let's be real. We've got major professional sports. We also got niche sports.
Yeah.
I freely admit it. Real Salt Lake, it's a bit of a niche thing. Utah Royals, same thing, soccer. But guess what? We also have Utah Warriors, the rugby team. We have the Archers now of the Premier Lacrosse League. The Salt Lake Shred. If you like Ultimate Professional Disc, which is a crazy sport in and of itself, we've got that here too. And by the way, they're very good. They make runs to their title game all the time. So we've got options.
Yeah.
And the nice part is there's support too. It's not just like we have the teams and nobody show. No, people show up. I know Ryan used that phrase. It was 29,000 people submitted the $100 for rights to be able to get season tickets for hockey. Now, there's only going to be 14,500 seats to begin with, so that's going to have that. But here's the deal. People just want to have the option of it. Now, the sticker shock value of what those tickets will actually cost will thin the herd significantly.
I love being able to get credentialed to stuff.
Oh, Michelle, you and me both. And here's the thing. People are like, well, you don't get to take your... I mean, here's the deal. My kids, I will take them every now and again, and I will hit up friends and be like, hey, can you help me out here? And that's how we'll do it. But... It's nice to be able to just like, yeah, let's go.
If I casually work by tweeting a thing, then awesome.
Yep, I gotta take in the spectacle that this is. I'm here for it. All right. So, any final thoughts from you as we go out the door here?
You know what? Y'all just have a great Saturday. The weather looks phenomenal. Oh, and be nice to your mothers this weekend.
It is Mother's Day, so make sure you take care of the mother figures in your life. That's the best way probably to put it, because not all are necessarily your direct grandmothers, aunts, the mother figures in your life. Just take care of them, okay? I think I actually got ahead of it this year, so I'm actually feeling better about what than I typically am, like scrambling last minute for it.
Good job, Hatch. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that. If not for Mrs. Hatch pushing me to get it done, that probably wouldn't have happened. But we got it done all the same. So, all right, that'll do it. For Michelle and Sarah, by the way.
Yes. Sarah, bye. We love you.
Yes.
Good luck.
Sarah, we will miss you, but she's not going too far either.
That's also very true. We'll probably still see her around on occasion.
Mm-hmm. She's going to be doing stuff for Real Salt Lake. All right. So for Michelle, I'm Jake. Have a great rest of your day. This has been the Saturday Show right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.